Welcome to the most exciting part of the GWFM summit. First of all, may I say this is an extremely good-looking bunch of people. So I want you all to give a round of applause to yourselves. WFM professionals are not only the smartest, but also the most good-looking, right? We got to believe that. Okay. Don't believe what others say. We are all good-looking people here. Okay. So, the theme of the entire summit and our lives in general these days has been around AI, and then it went into Gen AI, and then they confused us further with Agentic AI. When I first heard about it, I thought, it was just a human bot. And that is what Agentic AI was, till Amar sort of explained it a little more to me and said, no, it's technology which actually helps take decisions. And then it is a natural extension of content generation and then decision making, allowing you to reach a successful conclusion and action for the person who asked the question. So it's not just about automating the task that the AI does, but from a people perspective, it is what ensures judgment, creativity, and empathy in that interaction of that agentic AI workflow. So if we just chase efficiency, we lose trust. If we just rely on human agility, like we have been for all this while, we have struggled with inconsistency, and that is constantly, from a workforce perspective, has been an endeavor to reduce inconsistency, get more predictable results. And now the challenge is, how do we balance this push towards hyper efficiency, but not lose that human touch, that empathy, that art of handling an interaction? Whilst the science can do it, where is the art? How do we recognize whether it's an old person? How do we recognize whether the person is crying on the line and maybe there is a hidden message in their question? All that would only come in from the human aspect of it. So the way I'd like to, with your permission, run the panel is we start off with a softball introductory question, and then I want to ask targeted question or follow-up questions to each one of you without having all of you to weigh in on the same question. And that way it may be possible for us to understand a wider aspect, right? And then we'll close it out with some general comments. Okay, so maybe we'll start with you, Ashwini, first. What does balancing automation with human-centered agility mean in your organization today? How do you balance it out? What's the thought process there?
So I think in today's enterprise landscape, right, balancing between these two would ideally mean you should let the intelligence systems do things which are repetitive, run-of-the-mill kind of activities, and let humans do what they are good at doing, which is more like your strategy, being creative, right? So it's not just about efficiency. I think the organizations are embedding a lot of automation into the processes. However, they are also fostering adaptability, continuous learning, so that it's not that the automation or the tools are replacing human, but they are only enhancing what the humans can do better. I think that's what I would say.
Okay, you can just pass it along. Amar?
So, always, when AI comes to picture or agentic, it's purely efficiency, cost mitigation is the two key things for any organization. So I want to give some real examples. How do we do it day to day in our technology? So maybe I might be using some technology, verbiage here, so excuse me. So we are a product development company. So if I take an example of where does it start from, a strategy. Strategy can be done by humans, in terms of where we want to go and how do we want to achieve this. Then how do I bring that into the product organization with the product managers and product owners to see what is the element they can use the AI in terms of the research into the market and then effectively make the decisions. That means the human is also in the loop. Then pass it on to the technology organization in terms of making that dream real. So as part of that, how do I make sure my developers upskill them so that they can work as more as a hybrid role in terms of utilizing the code platforms like Soft, Cloud or Gen AI or V0 Versal for designs, and then what is it going to give you the repetitive work quickly so that they can evaluate it, and then take an action on it. So if I take an example, if you use OpenAI, ChatGPT, or a Copilot, sometimes you find a little bit of a code which is obsolete, which is like, used in 10 years back, but not to the latest. If they use Claude, you might get a latest up-to-date code. So that is where the human will come into the picture to evaluate the data, what is coming, the repetitive work, what it's going to do, and how it's going to help us to build things faster, and also ensuring the security point of view, the performance point of view. That's where the human comes into the picture to guide or prompt. So the way I talk to my engineering team is it's a prompt engineering. So the better you prompt, you get the answers, but evaluate as a human loop.
Yeah, thanks, Amar.
So Wipro as an organization has committed $1 billion investment for an AI this month, and adaptability of AI is a must for a survival itself. So unless until we adapt to the platforms, AI platforms and AI tools in the current world, we will going to fall behind. Not for a simple reasons that everybody is going behind it or every customer is asking for that. Provided, let me just give an example of, let's say somebody is writing a code all by themselves, and if a Copilot can do it 10 times more than whatever it can be, then why do you want to go back and deploy 10 resources as against one which has been required? As Sanjeev already said, in many of our new deals, the customers are already asking us to bake in the productivity which is already gained by the AI as part of our bids itself. So it's already there. If you don't adapt, you're going to lose out in terms of either in terms of revenue or in terms of margins. So adapting to this platforms and tool is a must. I don't think it's an option.
Absolutely.
Hi, Swapnil here. So I think I'll go with what one point that Abhishek mentioned in the previous discussion, right? It has to be in the goal of your organization on what you want to really do. Everything is available in the market today on the table, right? But you can't really carry everything at everywhere, okay? It depends on what your organization wants to do. Second, which client are you catering to? Okay, not all clients are still open for everything that you want to offer. So you have to be mindful of the fact that you can't oversell AI as well. And you have to understand the pulse of the discussion across the table on how much AI is the client looking for. Overselling it can also kind of backfire because then you are over-committing as well. And if you are not able to deliver, then you just lose trust at the go. So I think you have to, one thing is you need to know what your organization's goal is, as rightly said by Abhishek previously. Secondarily, what the client wants is the biggest balance that you have to kind of strike.
Absolutely. I 100% agree with you. It is not a magic pill which is going to solve everything. It's just going to help you to get to that solution.
Yeah.
And that's where the humans come in.
So for us at Cleartocuh, we would want to give the power of automation to companies while keeping the human centric values in place, where automation is the driver and the automation is the engine and the people are the driver behind it. So we want to keep empathy at the middle of the engagement. That's what we wanted to do.
And Dhivakar, just following up on that, because of your product and you work with a lot of BPOs with your solution. So how do you see AI-powered workforce tools like yours and others? How are they going to be interacting? And let's maybe if you can paint a picture of how would that future state be where agentic AI-powered solution like yours would interact with a workforce scheduler or a workforce planner or an operations and manage sudden spikes, disruptions, how nicely are AI and humans going to play with each other so that we get the desired result very quickly and with least amount of panic?
So we believe AI and humans would work side to side, right? So they will be on a co-pilot mode. And today we do scheduling, forecasting, and we do a lot of workflow automation within our tool, right? So what it does is it helps the frontline people to reduce the mundane tasks. So they are freed up to look at multiple other data points, which enables them to have more meaningful conversations with customer, right? So right resource at the right time is what we are doing today, and that's what we are seeing today. For example, if you look at collections, right? An AI does a better job in collections than a human because it's a repetitive, mundane task. What happens here is we do first few rounds through the Agentic AI, and when it comes to the resolution, we put the human in the conversation, so the resolution becomes much faster there, instead of AI taking the resolution. Because what happens is when AI tries to resolve this, it only goes to a point and it gets stuck there. Okay, it only does what it is told to do. But the human on the other end is able to empathize with the customer and then reschedule their repayment dates, which actually puts the onus on the customer to repay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So here's a question for all of you. Now, workforce managers or the workforce function involves a lot of decision making. And decision making needs confidence in one's abilities, in one's experience of having lived life in WFM, seen similar situations. And here in the future, very near future, decision making is going to be pitted against the clinical efficiency of an agentic AI suggestion. How do you see workforce managers sort of balancing this? Are they going to lose confidence in their own ability and say, AI has said this, I better follow it, although my gut feel says that this could be wrong, but I really don't know how to compete with AI here?
I think that's why knowing your why is very important. Yeah. As you educate and as you deploy a lot of these tools and technologies, you don't want the team members to become complacent of saying that I just pressed the button. Right? It's very important that they understand why they're doing what they're doing, especially as they go up in the ecosystem.
Yeah.
From at entry-level positions to entry-level management to middle management to a senior management positions. I think that's going to be a critical understanding need.
Yeah. May I give you an example? I think everybody resonates with cricket here, right? Generally.
Absolutely. And may I remind everyone, tomorrow we are playing a very important cricket game.
Okay. Right. I'm just, so, a guy who scored almost, and he's broken every record in one-day cricket, right? And he's supposed to be the biggest chaser and the best chaser in the game. Was also like, semi-god status in Test cricket as well. I'm talking about Virat Kohli, if nobody's you guys haven't guessed by now. Okay. The guy went to England and just couldn't get a score, couldn't get a run, right? When they actually played Why, right, there was a 2-month session that Jimmy Anderson and Broad and everybody had, where they went through video analysis, they went after clips after clips after clips of Virat Kohli to say, that's his serious problem, right? This is where you got to bowl, because that's where so there was all kinds of technology unheard of in cricket at that time that was used to understand what is a fault or what is a pain point of a particular batsman, was like a semi-god status, right? You still need that person to go out there and execute. So what Jimmy Anderson obviously was a world beater as a bowler, but how to bowl, where to bowl, what to do for that guy when he first walks into bat is something that he got because of all of this technology that was at his disposal. He was still Jimmy Anderson, he still had to go and execute it, but he got empowered because of that. So if similarly in our organization, firstly, the organization needs to know what is it that becomes a natural progression for it in terms of augmentation of technology. You can't be looking north and deploy something south completely, right? So you got to know what is it that you want, and then after that, communications and the culture should build it in such a way that it becomes second nature to the organization, right? So everybody thinks of it as an enabler, as an empower, and it's not some, like I kept saying in my spiel as well, that we need to collaborate and not compete with it, right? Yeah. You need to use it as a supporter and not as a substitute. So that's probably what I would say.
Yeah, and just to add to that, right, I think every WFM head or WFM manager has a very clear understanding of the pulse of all functions, right? They may not say it out loudly, but everyone knows what capability my operations has, what capability my talent acquisition has, what capability my HR has, right? Now, while all of these processes or teams would also have automation within them, but there is still a pulse that a WFM manager sees with the overall performance of these functions as such, right? Now, my job is to kind of create the best output basis what best they can do, correct? And while AI can give me the visibility, but I think my pulse is something that cannot be replaced by an AI intelligence, because it's not something that can be really explained, but that's how you know your system, right? And if you push your system too much, it will of course collapse. Yeah. So AI will probably show you numbers which you can't do, and if you go with it, you're just pushing your system too much, probably for a failure as well.
Swapnil, while you have the mic. Sorry, Rajashekar, you wanted to
I just wanted to add one point to this. Whether you should go with an AI decision or you put a human decision on top of that.
Yeah.
And I would slightly go towards the AI decision than a human decision for a simple reason. Whenever it is wrong, we always felt that we have not trained the LLMs well. It's a human problem, right? For example, I'll just give you a very live example of what happened. So let's say when you do a bench management and you take a specific decision what you want to do about an individual. Let's say for a specific candidate, it took a decision and say, look, this is what the next HR action should happen, but maybe the person is a returning mother. But you didn't give those intelligence what should be your course of actions when a returning mother comes to office, and then what you need to do it. So wherever we have figured out in a very large scale models, wherever it has failed or it's a wrong decision, it's more of a human error of not training the LLMs well, rather than blaming that human would have taken a better decision compared to AI.
Right.
On a lighter note, Sunil, if there are 2 points where I have to decide this, in my performance discussions, I will put it on the AI, saying, oh, it happened because of AI. When it comes to my appraisal discussion, I'll say, oh, I took the call.
That's why you're getting this 50% increase.
Exactly.
AI had only recommended 30.
So I think answer lies between 0 and 1, because it's not like a binary here.
Right.
It can be something in middle, right?
Yeah.
My AI should be able to give me interpretable results. Should be able to give me the insights. I should be able to interpret those results and take call on that. Not like blindly taking everything.
Yeah, because you know the system. That's what even I was saying, right? You have to know the ecosystem to decide. Sorry.
Interpretable in terms of deciding that. If they say this is the best one, you should be able to tell me what is the interpretation behind it. As at ML, right? Yeah. Interpretable thing.
And you know what? Every time it can tell you a new best one for that matter.
Absolutely.
Right? But as a WFM leader, you understand these situations have come earlier as well.
Yeah.
And what have you done then? Correct?
Correct.
So you can't keep on changing your actions every time as well, right? Because you have taken a certain action basis your experience. So yeah, AI can empower you, but I don't think it can overpower you actually.
Augmented thing, combination of both. Yeah.
So AI will keep learning, but there is no guarantee that humans keep learning.
That's a great point, and I'm going to come. Swapnil, your next question is for you. It's two-parter, right? And this is right up your alley. So we were talking about 500 divided by 10. And a guy like me will pull out my calculator. Somebody out here will tell you exactly what 15% of 6,000 is, because their wife has trained them for 15% discount, what it adds up to, right? Now, in WFM, right, it's a hands-on job. You've got to understand the basics, the foundation. Now there's going to be an agentic AI layer on top of things, and then the role is going to be, let's approve the decision of the AI-assisted planning, AI-assisted scheduling, AI-assisted or RTA alerts, etc. How are you going to ensure in your team and for all the WFM leaders that our line staff still learns and stays sharp on the fundamentals? Because their decision-making is based on their experience of the fundamentals, but they're slowly stepping away from it in the future. Are we going to be just dumb check boxers and say, if AI said that, let me check it because I've forgotten the fundamentals. I don't know what A plus B is equal to C is.
Yeah, and that's actually happening. That's a very valid question, Sunil. So, one, I've been blessed to have this thought process earlier, and that's why whatever we presented yesterday as our best practices, right? We have ensured we have the development done by our own teams, okay? So what I would recommend futuristically as well, right? Whenever you are bringing in an Agentic AI solution, I think your teams should be a part of that development. They may not be from a technical background, understand this. But for even the Agentic AI to kind of be structured, you have someone who knows the product, who is a SME, right? What will that do is that will enable him or her to gain more interest in the results, as well as polish their AI knowledge if they don't have that yet, correct? So inclusivity of your team into Agentic AI deployment will actually give you a better result than, just buying a product from the market and saying, okay, start using it, right? Because that's where the individuals will start losing confidence, saying that, hey, I was doing something differently before, but now the tool is telling me something different.
That's not good news for us.
That's not good. I know.
For our product companies, if you just keep building everything. But I get your point. But here's the thing.
Yeah.
What after your teams have gotten involved with building that solution? Now we're in the next generation of WFM planners, schedulers. They did not build it. They've been using it for a generation, couple of years.
Correct.
How do you ensure they stay true to understanding the fundamentals still? Because their decision making is based on all their learnings, and their learning is not getting deeper, it is getting shallower.
Yeah, I think by then we'll have another chat GPT which will help them answer that as well. But I think it's more of a culture that all of us will have to decide and maintain, right? Saying that culturally as well, even 4 years from now, we will ensure our new entrants in the WFM world still undergo the entire basic thought process, understanding, knowledge, learning, and then you put them up or expose them to the AI world, right? If you just put them across, life will be simpler for them, but at a certain point they will lose it because the fundamentals will clash against technology. So I think you will have to build that culture, saying that how do you safeguard exposing your team too much before they are mature to understand the applicability of it.
Okay. Last follow-up question to you.
Should I hand over the mic to someone else?
No, I will. We have time. I'm going to focus on each one of you.
Great. Sure. I'm more than happy.
So, and this is again, up your alley. How do we get the adoption of AI into a WFM line leader or a planner or a line staff, so that they truly understand what it can do, what it cannot replace? What are some of the strategies you have in mind around that engagement?
Again, one is encouraging the team to actually undergo these workshops, trainings, the courses that are available online, right? Because there is so much of talk going on in the market that people have 10 different views on it, okay? Yeah. Now it will depend on whom do they hear. So instead of you keeping it open for them, you might as well chalk out a plan saying that, hey, you know what, you have to undergo these 3-4 courses, sessions, which will enable you to understand the basics of AI, right? Or Agentic AI. Yeah. Then you choose what you think, interests you the most, okay? Because for me, while I showcased a lot of technology solutions yesterday, what interests me is the solution, not the technology. So I feel challenged when I see a problem and I need a automation solution for it. What technology, what platform, what LLMs, I don't care about it. So similar interest will be there in each individual from our teams, right? So first you need to guide them to a certain point and then ask this question to them, which of this actually interests you? And then you pick it up from there. So again, it's probably a cultural building I'm coming back to, where you empower them with knowledge and then let them decide what they want to do ahead.
Thank you. Anyone want to add? Please. Yeah.
I think I just have one point onto this. See, let's say if you have a 10-member team, and probably in the phase 1, we will all have to evaluate our teams based upon how good they are for using the AI tools itself, right? If 5 of them are using it very well more, and then 5 of them are not being able to use it effectively, naturally the one who are the best of our crowd. So, but in a phase 2, probably the way I will look at it is, if those 5 who's been using well, probably they are the one who will probably be able to also tell what is the shortfalls and what innovation we need to do to over and above whatever the current limitations of those agents or AI platforms which is giving to us, and also keep training this one. Today the limitation is not about just adding new features into this, right? So even for the current features, if you are not able to teach the AI models, it's not going to learn. So every time when somebody is teaching the AI system itself, that's what the value they're going to bring it to the organization. So they are probably, I'm going to call those 5 who's been able to use it better and also teach those AI models and also come back and keep asking for what else it need to be done beyond whatever it is doing or the core. And people are just users, maybe are the non-core members of the team.
I'm sorry, just an afterthought I had was we'll have to probably create an environment where our teams look forward to using Agentic AI or AI on any platform for that matter,
to see the value.
and not run away from it. With the scare of, oh, I'm going to lose my job. If they look forward to it, then they are actually going to give you the best results from the technology as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. So Rajashekar, we can continue with you. So, and we can talk a little bit about talent supply chain. So what role will AI play on looking for, and how would it look for some hidden or transferable skills across the workforce so that can be a part of the decision making within the talent acquisition or transferability?
Yeah, I will probably take on a very solid live example which is happening in our group. See, today when the requirements come for the WMG team, they're going to go back and identify, look for, let's say I will take a full stack development, which is very famous. Me and Ashwini used to always figure it out how difficult it is to get all the full stack developers. So if I need a project which need 10 full stack developers, and if I have very less of those people, then I'll go back recruit and then identify, and then all the full stack guys comes at a 5x pricing. So it's going to be very incompetent, and it'll also going to take a lot of time for us to do it. With this AI adaptation, I'm in very live one of the projects in which we have implemented the Copilot along with the Git and the OpenAI LLMs and then the codex part of that. So what we did is, we said there is one lead who's going to come back with a full stack complete example. He's like a technical lead who will be able to do this. He's the one who's training his LLMs. He is the one who is telling, this is what I need. He is the best one who's able to give the prompt, the Copilot to say, this is what I need to do. And his LLM, what we did it in this environment, his LLMs to the one which has been given to his team members, those two LLMs are learning each other based upon this. So the next guy who knew only backend is able to do a full stack because all the UI part of it used to come from this guy, right? So it is like a co-learning each other. Similarly, for backend guy, he was able to do the front end part of that. That way, instead of creating a people with the 10 full stack guys, 1 or 2 full stack guys were able to do the project at better productivity, right? So what also happened is, it also went back and then said, yeah, look, this is all the things which you are learning. This is what a missing piece for you. So it is giving a curated learning path for all the candidates also. This is something which you are lacking in this one, so keep learning. Today you can take this code, but you have to learn for this. So those skill building also continue to happen. And it's also in this environment. So what also happened is, see, for example, the documentations, whatever we were expected to be produced, be it a technical, we used to hire a lot of technical writers as part of that. Yeah. Today it says, see, this is what is expected to happen. Here is the technical writer for that. And this particular project which I spoke about, it gets implemented in Japan, it gets implemented in Mexico, and it gets implemented in US. So I have to hire a Spanish guy and a Japanese guy here. But this Copilot was able to give me the technical writer. Instead of having not even a single technical writer, it gave me the documentation for all the 3 languages. So that's the beauty of this Copilot, how it's been able to bring it out with less competition and less skills, and everybody at the end of it, everybody became competent.
Okay, great. And this question is probably a lot on people's mind. We've been hearing about AI now doing interviews. There's resume scanning, right? There's very little human intervention. From role-based, it is skill-based. AI evaluates resumes, skills, makes decisions or suggests decisions around hiring and movements. How do you ensure and assure people when asked around the fairness and transparency of these models?
So one on the role-based, just taking forward the same example what I just spoke about it. Earlier in any development cycle, either you'll use a waterfall model or you will use a V model, in which when you are acquiring the requirements, you'll also have one more system tester who are going to be writing all the system test cases, or when he's designing, there are going to be functional test cases. Then when you're writing the code, there's a unit tester who are going to be writing this one. That's a typical this one, right? Or you would allow one to follow off each other and then use. And each one of them are different roles. See, today, if I am a good technical lead and if I'm able to go back and then prompt the Copilot pretty well, it only gives me, the system test cases. So you don't need a separate system testers for that, right? Similarly, when you're a designer, when he's designing, it'll only give you the functional test cases. You don't need to separate this one. So those roles have all got into one single role of whomever you want to call a technical lead or anything. So those bridging the gaps between the roles is completely on. The skill is all about the best utilization of the AI tools what we had. So I think that brings in the collaboration of the roles in the development environment. And when it comes to, what are the next questions?
No, fairness and transparency around the whole process.
Yeah, the fairness and transparency, like what I was just said. Typically, it's much more, I feel that it is overtly used empathy and then, the fairness, whether the AI tools is very fair or not, is little overtly used for a reason as whenever there is not a very clear fairness is been there by the AI system, it is you humans who are not trained it pretty well. And for example, I'm going to take, we typically within our group, we do close to around 1,000 AI interviews per quarter. And then majority of that is very good results which we're going to get it. In fact, if I say if a humans have got to do 10 interviews per day, after 5 interviews, they're already exhausted, right? But the AI tools is not going to get exhausted. And every time you do little, it's going to prompt and then help you out saying, hey, you're doing very good. So why don't you think in this way? Why don't you think? It's going to help you to go back and do that. So those, well, the first 5 interviews of humans was good. The next 5 interviews, I'm going to give the credit back onto this particular one. Right. So the empathies and then whatever the fairness probably it is there. But I still can't go with the judgment from a human judgment, because all this put together, whether I want to hire this candidate finally or whether it's going to fit into the bill, I still want to have that final call of whether I want to hire or not.
Yeah, because body language for me is very important.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? That's why face-to-face meetings are great.
Yeah.
And even though we are just looking at the person's face, facial expressions,
absolutely,
and the way they answer, it's not just what they say, it's how they say it. And that's the judgment call.
Yeah, and in some of the cases, the AI has got its own limitation irrespective of whatever you're going to do it. For example, we had, Sanjeev spoke about, some security issues which came up into this one. Yeah. Right? The AI system was telling that, it was only switching off the computer, local network. But the right thing, a human would have been just removed the plug out of that computer out of the entire network and would have solved that problem. AI system was still thinking what to do. So that's where human brains are more important.
Humans know exactly where to hit the hammer.
Yes, especially the jugaad.
Yes. Thank you very much. Amar, so from a technology leader perspective, right, what architectural and design principles are most important when building scalable workforce intelligence platforms that remain explainable and human aligned? I must tell you, I got this question from ChatGPT just for you.
Okay. Yeah. So, I think whenever you're building the scalable applications, there are different layers, So number one is the data. What type of data platforms you're using, how scalable they are, what type of data warehouse tools you're choosing, how structured your data is, how you're converting unstructured to structure, the way you store the data, is it a SQL or a NoSQL type of, So that is the first important, because when it comes to either AI first approach or API first approach, it has to deal with the data. So AI can work with both. So make sure you have the right data architecture in place. Then the step 2 is in terms of your middle layer is APIs, which is microservices, so that it can horizontally and vertically can scale. So write your program such a way, number 1, cloud agnostic. It can scale, either it is horizontal or vertical, so that depending upon the demand, you should be able to boost up so that your customers won't see the latency issues, and also you should be able to save some cost. And then the presentation is generally, people will choose either it is, if you like Meta, you go for React, if you love Google, you go for Angular. But one of the main area what I say is, whenever you're building the AI applications, remember one thing is not only just the architecture, but the data governance. That should be the first decision, or the architecture should be baked in, where the data is going, how do I anonymize the data, do I, compliant to SOC 2 or GDPR or, HIPAA or any of these. So data governance is very, very important. So I would consider in terms of security, scalability, reusability, less maintainability. So these are the most important ones.
Samar, I got another question for you. So you're the CTO of a very exciting young startup company. How are you using AI in your organization with your dev teams? And what is some of the resistance you're getting?
Yeah, so as we discussed, throughout the day today, is the job security. Everybody thinks like, oh, my job is going to go. So I was trying to tell my team, you're going to be architect positions, not a developer anymore, so that you're going to review the code and make an effective decision, and also you'll be able to learn more. It makes you a better person. So I always used to give an example to my team is, let's take an example of olden days. I think I spoke to somebody at the tea today, is we used to have the manual rickshaws in the past, People used to, put a lot of effort and earn less money because they can't go faster. Then the auto rickshaws came. Then everybody thought like, oh my God, what we're going to do? What happened? It made them to learn how to drive autos. So it made their job better. The salaries are better. They started earning more. So exactly the same message I give it to, again, there's a more way to go. Is like from autos to cabs now, what's happening. So similarly, I tell my team, it is not like how technical you are, it is how much domain knowledge you know. That is the most key thing to make the decisions to go faster. So I push them, not easy to be honest, few people, Gen Z really loves it. They want to grab it and use the tools, but if it is a 15 years experienced developer, it's very hard because he's worried about his job, but he's not thinking what else it can make him to the next level. So we started training them how to use the co-pilots, how to use these cursors wherever it is required. We also, help them to see, okay, this is the process you do every day. How do I automate it so that it saves time for you? So it's not easy. We have to push a little bit. Once they get the taste of it, and they continue.
Yeah, we've seen that. Thank you, Amar. Ashwini, last but not the least.
Yeah.
So at Genpact, how is AI driven? And if not 100% AI driven, partly AI driven, but workforce intelligence helping companies like you operate and better optimize capacity at scale, especially, if you look at employee well-being, diverse geographies, is there anything from a workforce intelligence you're able to provide to the organization, to HR, to employee engagement teams to generally improve well-being across?
Okay. So I think this workforce intelligence is very crucial. One is your staffing needs ahead of time. You can plan ahead of time. What skills do you have internally, which are those pockets where we have those skill gaps, what are those skills that we will need to hire externally, right? So you are prepared ahead of time. Right, so those platforms that we are building right now is based on primarily the intelligence that we are talking about. So this helps us be ready ahead of time. Your client is happy because the turnaround time is faster. You are able to quickly close the positions, cater to the demand that you have. At the same time, I think morning we heard about we are also able to look at what is the workload of the employees, right? Yeah. Varun and Tarun were talking about it. You are able to balance that. It's not that somebody's overloaded, somebody's underloaded. You are able to look at the productivity. So this workforce intelligence does help you understand how do you ensure that the workload is managed. You are able to also look at the performance of the teams. Like people said, the employees are better off hearing it from the tool directly rather than the manager later coming after 6 months in the mid-year saying that you're not performed, right? Or you performed whatever. So, and there is a trust by the employees in this assessments or the feedback that they are getting it from the tool, because since the organizations are ensuring that there's a responsible usage of the AI, so the employees do believe and they trust that the systems are not biased, they are free of bias, they are inclusive, there's fairness. Hence these inputs do help them, right? Third is, this intelligence also helps us with, let's say, personalized training. We also, again, a lot of them spoke about it earlier also. So the employees, they know what are the skills they possess, and this is if this is my aspiration, where do I stand? What are the skill gaps I'm having? So this this is able to tell me what do I need to skill myself on, work upon it, or even in terms of internal mobility, what do I need to gain, where do I stand again. So I think this is going to help us. The fourth thing, again, Varun and Tarun were again talking about it, and this is something most of the organizations also doing, is you are able to assess the how is a person feeling, what is their well-being, right? That is going to help you real-time understanding what is the mental status of a person. Is he doing well, not doing well? Is it only because of the performance, or is he really struggling with something in his life, right? Those things are these are indicators for you. It's available to you. This is going to help you support your employees. So I think it's a fair balance between employee well-being plus your efficiency. I think these two need to thrive together.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, I was just thinking on what Ashwini mentioned, right? So I think the differentiator between Agentic AI and workforce intelligence has to be the frequency of information. Now, I'm sure Agentic AI is capable of, giving you updates or information every minute. For example, if I am a contact center agent, and I'm having a bad day on probably AHT, for that matter, or quality, right? I'm sure you have Agentic AI programs which can give you real-time updates on how you're doing on quality. Now imagine I'm sitting there for 8 hours, taking calls one after the other, interacting with customers, and after every call there's a pop-up saying, Swapnil, your AHT is off. Isn't it? That will just put me off. Where the workforce intelligence comes is the timing of this feedback, because as workforce guys, we understand that, what should be the frequency of giving out that information or feeding the end customer in this example with information, because timing is very, very important. If you over inform someone, that can also push the person back, right? So once in a day you go and say, hey, you know what, it's half of the day of your shift, but your AHT is kind of off track, can you just do something? I think the agent will realize and work on it. But every minute you go back and give that information, it will cheese him off for sure.
I'm just thinking of an even more nightmare scenario. You finish your call, and then a pop-up comes with your quality QA.
Absolutely.
Audit. You sucked. This was a terrible call. This is where you goofed up. Now smile and take the next call. And it happens after every call. Workforce intelligence would be, let's schedule it at the end of the week.
I just hope the Gen Z doesn't reply to that message in their language as such.
So just to add on to what we do it slightly differently. So in our workforce optimization tool, we are able to understand what the agent does. So then we give them the learning opportunities as a part of this calls, and this gets bucketed separately, and then the learning opportunities comes for them. The learning opportunities is conveyed to them by the line manager. So there you put the empathy part. See, because you know what they are doing, but we don't know why they are doing. So that why is where the line managers will have to understand what is wrong with them on that particular day, and then they give this learning opportunities to them.
Another question which just popped into my mind, I think overwhelmingly, all our clients are very happy about how Agentic AI is coming into delivering solutions or managing call center volumes, whatever KPIs they want us to deliver to. And they've already started building that into their cost savings, so they're bullish about it. But have you ever run into organizations who have resisted when you have said, we would like to use AI in delivery of these certain projects or to help the agents, and what concerns did they have?
So I think every change is difficult, right? Even when we all are talking about, there are things that we have done within our organization, including bringing the interviews, the first level interviews through AI, wasn't easy. And it's not the change only internally. It's not only your panels or your business. It's not only your recruiters who are doing it. It's not only your vendors. It's even the candidates. And I was talking to somebody in the afternoon about the same thing, that while we have adopted AI, we want to do AI-based interviews. It's doing a fantastic job in terms of, the way it's throwing questions. There's a proctored environment, so we know that, it's being done in a fair way and all of that. But the candidates are resisting to even take the interviews, right? So So it's both sides, and even the business, right, who have been used to meeting the candidates themselves, talking to them unless they meet them. It's not just the questions that I'm throwing at them, it's even their body language, how they talk. It's about whether they will fit into our culture, right, the behavioral aspects and all of that. There are a lot of people who still believe that AI is not able to do that bit what they would want to do, right? So I think resistance is going to be there. I think the adoption is going to take its own time. But yes, we have seen that.
I think every organization also needs to honestly put their hands on their heart and say, are we deploying some of these solutions for better results or for saving money? And I think the balance has to be somewhere in the middle. Both have to be served. Otherwise, you can't have fairness and transparency and get buy-in. Right.
Just one point on this.
Please.
Customer, you said, are we able to go back to the customer and say, I don't want to use the AI for a specific one? I think we had one very live example very recently with one of a Chinese customer, Chinese and US. We were supposed to collaborate with both of them and then build a control system for this one in the Industry 4.0 solution for them on the digital twins. So very clearly, we didn't have enough data for an AI to make any decision for us. So AI just become a wrapper for everything manually which has been done inside. So that's where Wipro went and then said, we will not going to use AI, it will going to be, this is how we will going to address this through this one. So that's why we won the deal. So everybody else gave a very, colorful PPTs of saying that I'll going to AI for this, AI for this. Then the customer said, then you don't understand what you're telling. So hence I'll going to go this for Wipro. So that's what.
That's a good story. That's a great point. Okay. Looking ahead 5 years, right? If you had a crystal ball, what, and it's a tough question because, every time, OpenAI and ChatGPT and the entire revolution which has happened has literally come up with jaw-dropping capability. I mean, 3, 4 years, 5 years back, who could have thought all of this could happen? So, for the next 5 years, your wildest predictions. What do you think is going to happen in the world of Agentic AI? And it could be called something else by then. It could be called Optimus Prime AI, whatever. But what do you think is going to be coming up, and how is it going to affect our lives, affect our professional teams?
Yeah, I can. So I think we had a great session yesterday and today this morning from the Wipro team as well. So things are going to change, there's no doubt. So we have to adapt to it. We are great in adapting as a humans, we easily, we are adapted to pandemic, we are adapted to different lifestyles, It's easy to adapt, but it's that scariness, So I talked about a couple of things in terms of a human involvement, human in the loop. Let's take an example. You're doing a particular work repetitively every day, then the human in the loop comes into the picture only when you're not happy or you don't know what it's going to do. Once it is stabilized, why would you want to do it again? Just looking into it and pressing a button. And even you want to automate that. So getting used to it is the most important, And if I talk about, the technology organization or service industries or any other, doesn't matter, is the roles is going to be clubbed. It's going to be a hybrid. The king of the agentic will be the people who knows the domain, the people who has a good communication skill so that they can prompt more effectively. So it's more of prompting and getting the things done, or automating where you don't need to look into it because you have the confidence on it and you trust it now. You say go and execute. Areas where it's going to come into human intervention, where it's a life-threatening situation, where it's going to be a disaster, that's where they wanted to have a one final check, before we do it. It's like, putting a pacemaker to your heart. I want AI to run that. How many levels of testing it needs to go,
Yeah.
So those type of things, definitely there will be human involvement, but repetitive tasks. So one of the other thing is everybody's worried about AI, but you're all living with automation last 4, 5 years or 10 years. And when automation came, everybody worried about their jobs. But you got used to it, you want everything to be automated now. But similarly, the AI also be part of the lives. There's no doubt about it, but it is a reality. It is coming through. Unless you have a strict data related regulation comes in, some companies, some countries, backs into it not to use AI. We don't know, but until that, I think it's going to go fast.
Yeah.
Since you used the word wildest, I was kind of stuck on that. And in my wildest imagination, I thought 5 years from now, we may have a digital GWFM event. Absolutely. With the Agentic AI moderator as well as speakers here, right? And they might be speaking about us, saying, what do you do with these humans who are around? As such, that is the wildest I could reach to. But yeah, on a serious note, I just think over the period of next 3-4 years, we'll have a clear demarcation between what Agentic AI should be used for or can be done with, and what it cannot be done with. I think right now, because everybody is talking about it, it's all over the place. But I think as it matures in the next 3-4 years, we'll have a clear demarcation on what Agentic AI should be used for, what it should not be used for. And I think people will, the overall population will also mature with the use of it, right? Yeah. And I think then the applicability of Agentic AI will really come out in the true sense in the next 5 years, rather than just, applying everything and anything around Agentic AI. Yeah.
I'm missing Sridhar Mudliyar here, I'm sure.
Yeah, 85-15.
85-15. So, yeah, I mean, he said everything would be done in a year's time, but I know we all are, the world is slower than that. So maybe 3 to 5 years for us to truly integrate today's version of Agentic AI into all our workflows and see 100% benefit. And the journey is going to keep going on and on and on.
Yeah, so we were in last month we were with NASSCOM as a NASSCOM council member. We were just discussing about what will going to be an impact of AI next 3 to 5 years, and how it will going to impact India in per se, including the tariffs and everything. What will going to be a business impact for this? Yeah. Somebody was asking what is an impact on an Indian business. So what it was very interesting things what probably we expect to happen. For example, the way today the business are run, it's going to be very different in the 5 years from now. The way the AI world will probably look into it is today RFPs have been given to every company, and whoever bids a good solution and better rates, this one. But tomorrow, if there's a global data lakes gets created, if the customer knows it's Wipro who has done well in this particular area at this particular cost, so naturally the order directly will going to come to Wipro instead of bidding. The entire bidding systems of how RFPs are written and the business will going to come to the companies, probably will going to change over a period of time. The second one, once the business comes in, the way this talent management also will going to be very different. For example, if it says I need one full stack developers who will going to be doing this, they will also say I want 5 agents who will be able to do this. So which also means that today, if you are going external for talent acquisition, maybe we will going to go for an agent acquisition, correct? So right. Talent acquisition and agent acquisition is to work hand in hand to go back and then fulfill all those positions, do that. And similarly, those talent acquisition, the people whom human beings will have to go back and put a curated part to keep on training the agents. And probably the appraisal systems will going to be in such a way to do tomorrow your appraisal is based upon how your agents will going to do well rather than you yourself doing it, right? So that will be probably the comparison rather than your own evaluation. So that's what we are envisaging, how the AIs will going to impact the entire life cycle for business.
Absolutely.
I think just wanted to add on to the panelists mentioned about how you're programming full stack and everything. If you think about today, you can write a program using the different tools, but at the same time, before you're going home, there is a complex one which you need to write. You're delegating the work to an agentic coder now. Come back in the morning, it's ready. All you're trying to do is review it, so that the productivity is going to be double. Okay, and bots are real today in terms of development point of view. In terms of quality point of view, test case automations, we exactly do in-house in terms of you give this number, JIRA number or a PBI number, it generates the test case for you. All you're doing as a QA senior is validating them, ingesting any additional steps. So the productivity, the things what going to come to the market is going to be unbelievable in next 3 to 5 years. It's not like it's going to be a 6 months and 9 months or 12 months. It's going to come overnight, the deliverables.
Wow.
I think I'll just add, right? One is definitely there's going to be a rise in the number of autonomous agents that we're going to have moving from automation to autonomous, which does end-to-end. And I was just reading one of the McKinsey reports and going through one of the podcasts, right? They said these autonomous agents will operate independently. We can say alongside human or may not be. And if it's operating by itself without human intervention, I think it's for us to then think about sky's the limit, right? We may have control on it, we might not have a control on it. It's your agent versus my agent. You're creating some agent for yourself, I'm creating something. So it's which agent is better, because everybody's creating agents, right? And is there going to be a situation where we will not have a control on these agents? How are we going to manage that? That's one thing, which is one side of the story.
There's a kill switch going to be built in there, right? Hopefully.
Because it also says these agents are going to think of solutions or ideas or do things which humans can't even think about, have not done it in entire history of humanity, right? So what it's going to do is not something you can even anticipate.
Yeah.
So are we ready for that? So there's going to be a lot of threat also, right? And people know that there's going to be threat. But on the other side, it's also the peer pressure. If others are doing, why not me? Right? Will I be left out in the game? Should I wait and watch, or should I take a plunge? Some of them have already started doing it, right? And people who will be left out, we're already saying they'll be the dinosaurs and all of that. Yeah. So it's going to be both, right? And it's a wait and watch game. And yesterday I just read about one of the article which I was just reading of one of these posts which Sundar Pichai said that Google is going back to doing in-person interviews and do away with the AI-based interviews, because despite all the controls, proctored environment and all of that, the candidates are able to break it through because they are outsmarting the entire AI bit of whatever we have. So they are saying that the number of fakes that we have, despite all of that, it's just increasing. So I think we'll really have to look at what really gets implemented and what goes back. So I just thought of...
Yeah, in a lot of ways it's going to be AI versus humans. It's going to be a lot of AI with humans. So I think we can wrap up the panel discussion, and I think it's obvious, and not just through this discussion but throughout these couple of days, that AI will drive foresight, efficiency, but what cannot be taken away, as we see it, what humans bring to the table, which is creativity, empathy, and so many cases of adaptability, and of course the famous Indian jugaad. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you everyone.
Thank you.